Episode 10. We got the guys all back, minus Big Daddy, but Big Daddy is getting better, and hopefully he'll be back, let's just say 3 weeks, but eventually it's going to happen. So let's get her started.
And that's the bottom line. You want a war? You're gonna get one.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do.
Well, let's bring the boys in for another week of college and NFL talk. Big Chad, what's up, bud?
Not much. How are we doing today, Eric?
Just living the dream, man. Absolutely living the dream. Another week
Ready
of
to
football.
get this on?
Let's kick it off. Let's bring KJ on from the great state of
Good
Tennessee.
evening, gentlemen.
How's it going,
How are we
KJ?
doing?
Doing lovely. 3 days away from game day. I'm excited.
I kind of took a look at this week, and we've had, I don't know, 3-4 weeks of outstanding, football matchups, high-ranking matchups, close matchups, and this week kind of frustrated me. It's not that there's not good football, but there's not as many big games, and some of the matchups are tainted a little bit because of injury. Specifically the 49ers and the Rams on the NFL side. We've got a lot of injuries, a lot of guys not playing. For the 49ers, it's a laundry list. The Baltimore Ravens are absolutely decimated. My own beloved Iowa State Cyclones are down their 2 starting corners for the year. There's no doubt, right? Last year we were playing true freshman at linebacker because we had 6 injuries at the linebacker position. Now we've got both of our starting corners out for the year.
Well, you just threw another couple more 4 or 5 star recruits out there at corner.
Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah. Exactly like Ohio State would do. We just line them up.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, more so than last year, corners is a deeper position for us anyway. So maybe it won't hurt as bad. I mean, it's going to hurt. But maybe it won't hurt as bad as it did last year when it comes to, losing those type of players and starters. So anyway, I digress. Any opening comments, boys? How was your week?
It was good. My footy team, in case anybody wants to know out there, my Australian rules football team made the grand final which was their Super Bowl, and they got walloped in the second half. In the last part of the third quarter and the fourth quarter, they lost 122-75. I think. I don't know. At 2 a.m. I went to bed. I was like, I'm not watching it.
I'm done. I'm done watching this bloodbath.
Yeah, I'm starting to think you need to just get the universal sign for choking tattooed on your arm somewhere because it seems to be very indicative of the teams you support.
They just won it in 22. So let's slow down.
Let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Let's build up the anticipation for next season, right? Leave them wanting more.
Yep. There's a couple of major players that want to come and get traded and or get signed by them. So
that's what you're hoping for, right?
Yeah. They could use some more midfielders. But anyway, this is boring to everybody else but me. So let's
I find it interesting. It's just nobody else is going to know about it. So
no.
All right. Let's take a look at the week that was and see where we kind of have everything set up. We'll start with the SEC power rankings for the week. After a big last week, I hit the wrong one. Let's try the right one. That was last week. Well, if you look at last week, you can see how it shook out. Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, and Alabama were the top 6. Now, when you switch to this week's power rankings, you see that we change it substantially. There was some shuffling going on. Ole Miss now sits at the top, followed by a very precarious, in my opinion, Oklahoma. They are 4-0, but they do have a tough schedule with their quarterback out for at least, I think, 3 weeks. Followed by what I would say is a surprising in the top 5 mix. Maybe not surprising, but certainly surprising above Alabama, Georgia, and Texas is Texas A&M. I think they're going to be a major player. I'm not saying they're going to be, the winner by any stretch, but I think Texas A&M is a very solid team. Alabama got the big win over Georgia. Georgia for me, and Texas, sits at 5. I'm not real big on Texas, but Georgia, I don't know what to make of Georgia. I don't think they're that dominating team. I think they're a dangerous team, but I just think they're more inconsistent than any Georgia team we've seen. And they again, Kirby Smart was not able to get over the Alabama hump, especially in the regular season. LSU, of course, via Ole Miss, got dropped. Vandy. Vandy is a cool story. It's a fun story. Is Vandy going to put some pressure on people? Yeah. I mean, this week I would take Vandy in the points against Alabama. I don't think Vandy's going to win the game, even though they did last year. But I would take Vandy in the points. They're a fun team. I told you that quarterback is a lot better than people give them credit for. Tennessee sitting at 4-1. Missouri probably has one of the easier schedules in the SEC. They could find themselves moving up just via the guys above them knocking each other off. Arkansas lost their quarterback or lost their coach, as we predicted last week, put him on the hot seat, and this week he's gone. I still think they're a good team, but I mean they're a mess, and I think you get after them, and I think there's a lot of messes behind them. South Carolina is very disappointing. Auburn, I think this is Hugh Freeze year, and they're sitting at 3-2, and then of course Florida and Kentucky. But so yeah, is there anything you're looking at? I mean, like I said, Oklahoma is very precarious in the number 2 spot, but up to this point they've earned it. But I definitely think A&M is nipping at their heels, and a lot.
John David doesn't think too much of your rankings.
Well, of course he doesn't. I mean, I could say the sky is blue, and John David would say, no, it's not blue. It's whatever other color you want to apply to it. So it's kind of irrelevant. I love how he prefaces it with whoever when it says Eric's week 6 power rankings. So I could say the sky is blue, and he would say it's black, or it was whatever. So Anything, boys? Anything? Any big, huge discrepancies? I think once you get past 10, I mean, you could put anybody anywhere.
Yeah.
There's-
My only thing is I think Oklahoma is way too high. Yes, they're 4-0, but I mean, are they going to be able to sustain that?
Well, like I said,
quarterback?
the power rankings are not what I think is going to happen for the year. It's where we're at right now, and that's just where they're at right now. With Mateer going down, who knows where Oklahoma is going to be? It is what it is.
First, I guess to respond to Mr. Michael Owens, Michael, however you want to say it. Sir, I think the Pac-12 needs to rebuild their conference before we can talk West Coast teams, unless of course, you want to get into the Big Ten, which seems like the Ducks stand alone there. But that's a different topic for another day, I guess. I would say from a historic significance, I honestly cannot remember the first time, whether it be actual rankings, fan, power poll rankings, whatever. Seeing Ole Miss at the top is definitely a refreshing from the standpoint of seeing something different. I'll put it that way.
Right. And I would agree with that. I mean, I think, Kiffin's got Ole Miss playing pretty well. It is refreshing to see somebody other than Alabama, Texas, or Georgia up there.
Right.
And again, who knows how it plays out, but, we shall see in the coming weeks for sure.
Okay.
What's that?
I missed Owens. Owen was referring to UFL, not
Gotcha.
We all know why they're not there right now, man. You got to create a sustainable product before you try to go into California. I'm just going to leave it at that. Too much red tape and
let's face it, California's not
if you don't have a stable product established already.
There's a reason why people are leaving California.
Exactly. Yes.
Anyway, Chad, let's look at the Big Ten. I'm sure John David will give you glowing reviews for your Big Ten Week 6 power rankings.
Well, that's because John David not only recognizes intelligence, but also a level of handsomeness and savoir-faire.
Yeah.
So I did something a little funky here. I had Oregon leapfrog Ohio State. They both won, but I thought Oregon going into Happy Valley and handling Penn State on the road like they did, I thought that warranted them hopping Ohio State. Ohio State struggled. I mean, they didn't struggle, but 24-6. I mean, they didn't play great, but anyway, I just thought it warranted that. Indiana is impressive again this year. That coach is, I believe he's showing everybody he's for real. Penn State didn't get beat too bad, so I didn't have them fall too far. Got Michigan up there, Illinois with a big win. Michigan State, USC dropped from their loss to Illinois, and then Washington fell down a little bit. Maryland, this is going to look interesting, boys. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. And then Iowa and Nebraska, and then whatever.
Yes, put them, plug them in wherever you want.
Wherever, yeah. I mean, just so everybody knows, again, I only do the top 12, and KJ fills out the rest.
So
I don't care.
There was no change for those who don't recall what weeks 5 looked like.
13 through 18 is all on KJ.
Yeah, they're just whatever. I mean, and I don't mean that as an insult, because my team is on the precipice of being whatever. So
right.
They're sitting at 12. So anyway, I think that the Big Ten's looking pretty deep. I mean, I think, the first 6 teams are all pretty good. We'll see. I mean, Oregon and Ohio State look like they're better than everybody else, and then kind of Indiana's on its own, and then Penn State, Michigan, and Illinois. But I mean, they're looking pretty solid 6 deep, and then we'll see about Michigan State and USC and everybody else. But That's how I got it. What do you boys think?
I've got a question for both of y'all to get your input. I'd seen this on, I think, either X or the fan boards on Facebook. I can't remember which, maybe both. A graphic that was going around for the conferences, kind of evaluating them on being top heavy versus balanced. And then I think overall talent level or something was the other axis on the graph. They had SEC over the Big Ten in terms of being top heavy versus like balanced amongst the teams. I personally think that's the opposite is true. I would be curious to know what y'all's opinion is on that.
I guess when I look at,
because even looking at this and through Chad's rhetoric, it seems to me like my argument on that feed was like, I think they're backwards. I think the Big Ten is more top heavy than the SEC is in terms of overall balance. But
really?
I think if you look at the two, I would say if just take you can take whatever team you want, but we could take our own teams, for example. If Iowa State were playing anybody below USC, let's say, I don't know about Michigan State either. I'm not really worried about them, but I'll just cut it off at USC. I don't worry so much about 9 through 18, for example. But if you look back at the SEC, I mean, you might. Yeah, I got it back up there. I worry, I would go a little bit deeper as far as worrying the team about the team they were playing.
So it sounds like you'd agree. Okay, that's what
Yeah, I mean, simply because, I think, and I agree with you, Chad, after watching Oregon play defense against Penn State, I'm telling you right now, Penn State wants to run the ball, and Oregon was bringing the heat. Oregon was laying the wood. Oregon looked impressed. That was the biggest thing that stuck out to me in that game was you can see that Oregon has 100%. I mean, they were a good team anyway, don't get me wrong, but they have 100% flipped the script to Big Ten football. That defense was legit. I mean, they were stifling Penn State for long, long stretches of that game. And Penn State is supposed to be able to just ground and pound it and, road grader you out of there and things like that. And Oregon wasn't having anything of it. And so that to me, and I agree with you, Chad, leapfrogging Ohio State with Oregon, at least for now, is that defense looked stout. That was always kind of my knock on Oregon was, great offense. Right. Defense, okay. They didn't look just okay against Penn State. They looked phenomenal. Yeah. They looked ready for a game like that. That's what impressed me the most, and that's why I agree with the Oregon leapfrog. I have zero problem with it. But I USC, I know they lost to Illinois, but I mean, honestly, the only argument that I would have is I would still probably have USC and Illinois over Michigan. I just don't think Michigan's that good. If USC and Illinois were together and that was your top 6, if you went Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana, Penn State, Illinois, USC, then I would agree with you even more, KJ, about the Big Ten being more top heavy than the SEC. Because then I would say if my team was playing anybody but the top 6, I'd be like, we got a really good shot of winning this game. Then I'd be worried about 5 and 6, and then the top 4, I'd be like, yeah, probably not. Or with the SEC, it's like, probably not with the top 6, and then worried about 7, 8, 9, 10, I just think that there's that, and I've heard this and I've heard this and I've heard this. There's been so much, you call it SEC bias, whatever you want. There's a changing of the guard. And with the influx of the old Pac-12 teams into the Big Ten, it has just made the Big Ten better. I mean, you've always had the Ohio States, and you influx Oregon in there. Penn State the last 3-4 years has gotten over the hump, and Michigan. I don't believe Michigan as much this year, but certainly the last couple years. I just think the Big Ten top to bottom is better. I just do.
You think the Big Ten top to bottom is better than the SEC? Or just better in general?
Just better in general. Like, okay. You look at like, ESPN and those that have just been so SEC. It's the SEC and everybody else. It's the SEC. I think they're having a real hard time saying to themselves, the Big Ten might be better this year. I think they're having struggle with that. Now, if you were to line the Big Ten up and play game for game, 1 versus 1, 2, I'm not saying the SEC doesn't have a better record, but I mean, I just think the Big Ten has kind of, taken that over. I mean, look at it. The last 2 champions have been out of the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon has adjusted well. We'll see about
quicker than the rest.
SC and Washington. I think UCLA might be a lost cause here for a while, but I mean, Indiana with that coaching hire has flipped the script. They have turned it into a powerhouse. Illinois, that coach has come in and really turned that around. He's a hell of a coach. So I think that's the other thing is they're raising up some of these poor teams, traditional Big Ten teams, and making them good. Michigan State looks like they might be on their way back. And then you always have, Steady Eddie, Iowa, punting the ball to victory. And so, I think they're looking better. I mean, Northwestern and Purdue, they're all falling apart. Wisconsin, who knows what happened there? I'm just happy it's happening. And Minnesota is always tougher than everybody thinks.
Minnesota always has that game where they jump up and beat somebody they shouldn't, whoever that might be. But if you look at it, Nebraska is on the uptick. I know you hate to hear that, Chad, but your team is on the uptick. I'm not saying they're there yet, but they're on the uptick. Iowa has always been, solid because normally they have a nice, easy schedule. I think Maryland is on the uptick. Washington, minus what was it 3 years ago? They were in the championship 2 years ago. Yeah. Washington's not that far away. USC certainly is on the uptick. Michigan State is on the uptick. Illinois and Indiana, who are proverbial fighting for the bottom in the Big Ten, they're there. And then you couple that with the Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. I mean, you've got 12 teams that you're like, well, we've got to show up to beat them. And who's to say that, Wisconsin in the next couple of years doesn't get it figured out, or, a Minnesota or whatever. I just definitely think that because of, even though I'm not a big fan of NIL and the transfer portal completely, it has balanced it. And I think the balance has shifted to the Big Ten when it comes to those things. And I think that's why the SEC has maybe, I don't want to say fallen off a bit because the SEC is still very, very good. But I think that's why you're seeing the shift more towards some of these teams getting better in the Big Ten and some of those teams falling off in the SEC. Because a kid that plays for Florida, a big-time kid that plays for Florida, says, wait a second. We're not very good. I'm transferring out. I'm going to Indiana or I'm going to Penn State. And automatically I'm in the talk where at Florida, we're not in the talk this year. They're more willing to do that, where in the past they were not going to do that.
Yep.
And so I think that's balanced it out. All right, KJ, let's go to the Big 12.
So I still got Iowa State towards the top. Tech and BYU holding their spots there. Arizona State, I feel like, got a good win against TCU, so I felt I had to kind of move them over top of them and pull the Horned Frogs down a tad. I think they're still both good teams. I think that just speaks to the parity and competitiveness within some of the team schedules that we've got interconference play-wise. Move Cincinnati up, I believe. And that's kind of where things sit for right now. I think this week and beyond will begin to really isolate who deserves to stay kind of in the top half of the conference and who needs to fall down. We've got, obviously, as you mentioned, big game with Iowa State and Cincy this week. Same thing for Tech and U of H playing each other. So you'll really, I think, start to see more of a distance created between the top 4 teams and the rest of the conference top 4, top 5 teams as we continue on week by week. So,
Well, I think with the Big 12 is probably, in my opinion anyway, the most competitive conference. Period. End of story.
End of story.
And I don't think you can really argue that. I mean, we know in the SEC or the Big 10, it's going to probably come down to 4 or 5 teams.
For sure.
Realistically, 8 teams could win this.
Yeah. I mean, as crazy as it is, what they're at, I guess, maybe not Kansas State, but I mean, even to your point, a game where I think most everybody who was betting, aside from maybe your biased K-State fan, I mean, I thought UCF would be able to go on the road and at least do well against Kansas State, and that game was a complete antithesis of what I expected. So
right, and I would agree with you. I was really surprised.
Sneak up and really smack you if you're not prepared. So.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. ACC.
Still got Miami obviously at the top. I felt Georgia Tech, based on their performance, deserved to get moved up, and especially being one of the few undefeated teams left in the conference, felt giving them a nod was appropriate. Obviously, Florida State got the L with that close game against Virginia, and I think they played them pretty dang well as well, so I moved them up respectively. There is kind of a good bit of parity, if you will, between, I think, kind of 6 through 9. Obviously, Duke's had 1 or 2 weird bad losses with kind of respected teams in the lower portion of the conference, but then they also, I think it was North Carolina State they played last week. They got the win on. Just weird things that have kind of created greater parity within the power rankings for the ACC. I moved Clemson down, obviously, from where they were at, I believe, from the same standpoint. They seem to be struggling. Also, when I kind of compared the competitiveness between the top 4 or 5 that I've got here now, looking back at their schedules, I realized, maybe SMU was graded a little too highly going in things, and recognizing how much they struggled against both TCU and Baylor, 2 out-of-conference opponents. You thought they would have maybe gotten a win in one of those matchups, and they weren't able to do so in either. I think speaks to kind of some of the struggling woes they might be facing as a team so far through this year. So this one's another one that could, to that same point, maybe could shake up as we get into the second half of the season. With somebody sneaking from the bottom half into maybe at least the top half, if not top 4 or 5 contending spots. So it just depends on how the rest of the season goes.
The ACC feels like to me a 4-horse race.
Yeah,
because the ACC compared to the other 3 conferences is not deep.
No,
I mean, you get past number 5, and there's just nobody sticks out and scares you. Not that SMU couldn't or Cal couldn't, but they don't scare you. You don't look at them and go, "Oh man, we're playing Cal." Chad.
So how good are the Canes? I mean, AP's got them 3, and looks like they got 4 first place votes. I guess they dropped down 1, but
right. I think with the ranking, that's what we kind of talked about last week. I think they've almost, while they have a competitive schedule, I think they have been a beneficiary of unbeknownst, maybe weaker opponent scheduling based on where all the teams are at so far from what we've seen. Like, we made that conversation topic about teams like Florida, where it's like, well, they don't really look as potent or prowess as we would have thought they would have been going into this season. Now, they may just be struggling these first couple of weeks. But I mean, if the status quo is maintained, they're going to be at the bottom of the barrel nearly with the SEC, in the bottom dweller group. How much value does that Miami win look now when you get, to week, 8, 9, 10 in the season? You can't dock them for being undefeated where they currently sit. I think that's why, they started out strong and they've maintained it. But the opponent question is what determines later in the season, I think. So
that's the bias because they are the U.
Yeah, right.
Okay. That's the bias that I see. See, the AP, and I don't have much respect for the AP, the poll, because they will say to you, well, Miami still had to beat Florida. That's a huge rivalry. Okay, Florida's 1-3. But then they will turn around and Iowa State beats Arizona and stays 14. And they say, well, I haven't played anybody. And I'm like, but right. Kansas State is a big-time rival. It was in Ireland. Iowa is a big-time rival. I have watched number 8 Iowa get beat by unranked Iowa State, and I have watched ranked Iowa State get beat by unranked Iowa.
Yeah.
And they give no credit to those types of things.
In the same token, if UH hypothetically beats Texas Tech this weekend, Tech's at 11, the furthest that UH is going to get put, I guarantee, is 20. If we're lucky.
Right.
Yeah.
You still see when it comes to you've got a few teams in the ACC that get that bias, and then it's Big Ten SEC, period. And we still, honestly, I'm not sure how good Tech is. I think they're good, but we're not quite sure how good. So I don't know. It'll all play out, and we will see for sure. Anyway, we've got a few things, and we've kind of touched on this one a little bit already. But after the Oregon-Penn State game, and I had already talked about Oregon's defense and things like that and the way that they looked. Can Penn State really compete for a title under Franklin? Now, preface that with, I think he is 4-21 versus top 10 teams. Penn State is a good football team. I think there's no doubt about that. But can they win with Franklin? Chad?
So this is tough. So one of my complaints about modern sports is there's no patience. So I'll give you my analogy. Dr. Tom Osborne takes over Nebraska program in 73 or 74. Doesn't win his first national title for 20 years. So if they don't show the patience, they might not get those. So do they wait for Franklin to figure it out in the modern college football? Or if he doesn't get this job done, do they get rid of him? I don't know. He's got a really hard time winning the big game. The difference is Dr. Tom won some big games against Oklahoma and other teams. The famous going for 2 in the Orange Bowl against Miami, gutsy move, but cost him the title. So, it's hard to say. Can they win under Franklin? I think they can. The question is, does the university have the patience to let that happen?
Right.
That's my answer. It's my answer, non-answer.
Well, I agree with you. And I think, as a society, I don't care what you're talking about, sports like we are here or anything, people's patience level is at zero. We could talk about everything, Caleb Williams, or you talk about anybody about, he's a bust, or this quarterback's a bust, or this guy's a bust, or whatever. Or we could talk about what you're saying is patience. Sam Darnold. He was declared a bust a long time ago. Now with Minnesota
and everything.
Well, but I'm just saying he was declared a bust. Baker Mayfield.
Yep.
Guys like that, they were busts coming out of college, or coming to the NFL, they were busts. And now all of a sudden, Baker at Tampa Bay, Sam at Minnesota, and now Seattle. They're pretty good. But people's patience does not hold through. And I agree with you, Chad, but people's patience, they just don't have it anymore.
Nope.
Oh, we're not winning. On to the next guy. We're not winning. Get me a different quarterback. We can't handle it anymore.
Yeah.
I just think the days of the Kirk Ferentzes, like, to me, I am so shocked that Matt Campbell is still at Iowa State. Now, he is there by his own choosing. It's not a university decision or a fans wanting him out of there or whatever. But it just doesn't. It seems like the days of coaches just being there for long stretches of time. The Kirk Ferentzes since 99, 98. Like those days are gone. You know, because you have a dip in production. Well, on to the next guy. And you know, with NIL and the transfer portal and things like that, it's going to become even more important, to your point, that you hang on to those guys. You have continuity. You give them, like, you know, I firmly believe that Iowa State is going to have to do that 2 or 3 year. We're good this year. We got a couple years where we're okay, and then we're good that year, because that's how Matt Campbell's going to have to do this. It's how Nebraska, well, maybe not. They probably have more money, but it's how, like, Iowa's going to have to do it. Our university is going to have that patience during that time period. Houston, once the oil money really starts to pump into Houston, they won't have to have that patience. Texas Tech is already seeing it. You know, Oklahoma State, what happens to Oklahoma State? You know, whoever they get in there, you know, should
Can be
have.
one of those last perennial guys we would say that has finally dissipated into the abyss. I mean, are there any other ones you can tangibly think of who still hold a tenure similar to his, or
Kirk Ferentz.
Kirk Ferentz, but Ferentz, Iowa's never going to get rid of Kirk Ferentz. I mean, they've only had 2 coaches in my lifetime, Hayden Fry and Kirk Ferentz. Kirk Ferentz will leave when he wants to. And I think I honestly, now that he has the Big Ten record, I think this is probably his last year. I would be surprised. I mean, would you, Chad?
Yeah.
Would you be surprised if he comes back?
I wouldn't be surprised, especially if he doesn't come back, because his plan all along was to have his son take over, and his son was terrible.
Yes, you are correct.
And so his son is not going to be able to take over the team. So I suspect you're right. I was shocked he came back this year, but then turns out he was going for the Big Ten wins record. So, I mean, makes sense. But I mean, so on this similar vein, did you guys see the story about Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss and why he stayed? So teams were coming after him, and he was gone. He was gone. And he told his daughter, "We're gone." And his daughter was very upset. And she and her friends put together this whole presentation on why he needed to stay, and they wanted to stay. The whole family wanted to stay, and she gave it, and so he stayed. So there he is. He's still at Ole Miss.
That's a rarity.
Yeah,
because it seems like, and you know,
and especially him.
Yes. You know, a guy like Matt Campbell is a rarity where the coach has had success and he doesn't move off of that team.
Well, I think as a plug for a proud Iowan is that, look at those 2 schools, and they have these 2 coaches who never wanted to leave and go someplace greener,
right?
Because they love the state of Iowa so much.
Well, and you think about it, and
good place to raise the kids.
I think this is, you know, and I'm not speaking by anything other than my, you know, assumption or opinion is, I think Matt Campbell has come to the realization that, you know, I could stay at Iowa State, and he wouldn't be thinking in these terms. This is just me, and I can be a god here. They're going to name the avenue out in front of Jack Trice after me someday. You know, they're gonna do those types of things. Or I could go to bigger school in the Big Ten or the SEC, and it potentially doesn't work, and I'm gone in 3 or 4 years. And now my legacy is not I stayed with Iowa State, or like in Kirk Ferentz's example, I stayed with Iowa, because I think Kirk Ferentz probably had the opportunity to go back to the NFL sometime in the early 2000s.
Oh, yeah.
When Iowa was in their heyday.
Baltimore wanted him back.
Yeah, but he stayed. And now, regardless of what you think about the Hawkeyes, regardless, good, bad, or other, Kirk Ferentz has been good for the Hawkeyes. He's he gives a lot of money. He, you know, I've personally talked to him, and he is a phenomenal human being. But those are rarities, where guys are willing to say, "I'm here." this is my place.
I would
Yeah.
go one further beyond the component. To your point, you touched on, schools having patience, Eric. I think the other part of it too is also on the flip end is not being so egregious to sign someone due to past notable connection to the university or simple, relational shoe-in type things. Like obviously in every industry, you've got guys that get, hired because somebody. But I mean, in something as critical and detailed as college football, I personally, I'm not the only UH fan who could echo this, I think. But from day one, I was Dana Holgorsen is the wrong coaching hire prior to us picking up Willie Fritz like we did. They broke college records with the signing of the contract they had when they brought him on from West Virginia. And while granted he had done good things at West Virginia, that I think is the problem with a lot of schools is they don't recognize the present situation their program is in, respective to who they're hiring. The pitch I always gave to people about Dana was it's not that he was a bad coach, it's that his resume spoke to someone who could take a bottom feeder team and move them up to mid to upper relevancy, but not a championship contending squad. That's exactly what he did with West Virginia. The only reason he got the shoe-in with U of H, to my knowledge, is that he had the past relationship being an OC back in the Keenan days, I think, and he was buddies with Tillman Fertitta, who is one of our biggest donors and regents for the university. Beyond that, he had we had just come off of Tom Herman and had all the success. It's like you need someone to maintain the status quo, not someone who's good at rebuilding a program from scratch. We didn't need that. I say all that to say, that's where schools, I think, have to have a better radar and understanding of, okay, are we in Alabama or are we a, Kentucky? Like where is our program truly at and what type of coach do we truly need to improve our overall program?
So KJ, you don't want him to bring Andre Ware out of the booth and install him and have him be the head coach at Houston?
I mean, I would welcome him in a positional coaching position, but no, he has no historical record of leading programs like Willie Fritz does. Yeah,
just having some fun.
No, Willie Fritz is a proven program builder, in my opinion, at more than one echelon of college football. So,
whereas what the kids say, I'm just trying to gaslight you. I don't know if I use that correctly.
People have talked about Keenan coming to coach too, but I think a lot of people have said, and I don't know him personally well enough to know that, is he's just not a person that has interest in coaching, which I could understand or see.
Well, a lot of people say that, and then they end up coaching. So,
and then they want them, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I want to coach. I'm in.
Right.
Well, where am I going to go make money? I can't go make money,
Right.
as a pitch man or something. Okay, I better get back into. I don't know anything else. I'm going to go back into coaching.
He's comfortably riding the journeyman backup QB train, I would say, financially speaking. So I know he isn't looking for necessarily anything.
And to your point, KJ, we see it more. I would say we probably see it more so. See it a little bit in college, but we see it more so in the NFL, where it's like offensive coordinator becomes head coach. Head coach gets fired, picked up as an OC somewhere else, and 4 or 5 years down the road,
1 to 2 teams
back to a head coach.
I
mean, it's like the same guys recycled over and over and over again. It's like the Bears hired John Fox. I'm like, we did what?
But
you know what I mean? Like, but there he was.
Mark Trestman.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, and so those guys they just bounce back and forth and back and forth and the same. And then you get some new blood in there, and then it just goes back and forth. I mean, but yeah, I'm just glad, not that I'm under any delusion that Iowa State's going to be competing for a national title anytime, but Matt Campbell has made Iowa State very competitive. And he's starting to put, where there were years where like, oh, that Cyclone went to the NFL. I mean, we're talking, he's putting multiple Cyclones in the NFL. When you just look at the everyday games, you see David Montgomery, you see Breece Hall, you see Higgins, you see Noel, you see Brock I mean, you see a ton of your guys there from your college team where that just didn't happen a lot before.
Right.
That tells me he's doing something right with the program. And the fact that he's willing to stay, patience is rewarded. I actually hope that Penn State does keep Franklin. I think he is a good coach. I think he's one of those guys that once once he gets that figured out, getting over the hump and those types of things, I think Penn State will be that perennial Ohio State-like team, where Ohio State and Penn State every year doing this for a long time. But again, will they stick with Franklin?
Yeah.
That's, because Penn State still has the prior to everything that happened with Paterno and all that stuff at the end, they still have in their minds that we're looking for Joe Paterno, and if you're not it, we're on to the next Joe Paterno.
Yeah.
That's the danger of those programs. It's been the danger of Nebraska. They have been chasing their Tom Osborne forever, and they're willing to pay.
That's Dr. Tom.
Dr. Tom Osborne. They've been chasing him forever.
Yep.
And they've been willing to pay coaches. I mean, what do they still got 5 coaches on the payroll, Chad?
Probably.
But I'm just saying, I think that's been the biggest fear for Iowa, and I think it would be a fear for Penn State too. Is that you're chasing a ghost, and you're not going to find another one of those guys.
Yeah, I would say, other than Frank Solich, who was a decent coach,
9-3.
I was never a Pelini fan. I just thought he brought too much chaos. He didn't have enough self-control to be a head coach. And I think I've been proven right on that. He's a great defensive coordinator, but other than that, the head coaching hires have been horrible. So I haven't minded them moving on. So that I've been okay with moving on, because those guys were just terrible. Is Matt Rule going to be good? I don't know. But anyway, we need to move on to the next subject.
We need to move on to the next. Colorado fine for hateful chants. Is anybody surprised by this?
What I have no idea.
You missed
what
this one.
about.
So during the Colorado BYU game, the student section, I believe it was, started chanting, I believe, F the Mormons loudly in the stadium, and the NCAA has fined Colorado $50,000 for it. Is that a drawback a little bit from the Deion Sanders mantra, or is it? What I mean by that is, Deion Sanders gives off a cocky, confident mantra, and Colorado, are they feeding off that a little bit? I'm not blaming Deion for this. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, I think that's a very interesting line to draw. I would say, I don't think this is one we need to spend a whole lot of time on.
No,
I think it's going to be very difficult for universities to have control of their students, to keep them from chanting whatever the hell it is. They couldn't stop us, high school kids, from chanting whatever the hell we wanted to chant.
right.
Playing Heelan, which in case anybody doesn't know, is a Catholic school, and we're chanting "beat the fish" and throwing fish out onto the basketball court and stuff like that. So I mean, they couldn't, throwing squids out there. They couldn't. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's stupid kids saying stupid things, because that's what they do when you're young adults trying.
I would simply give
what's
the
good behavior and what's bad behavior.
Right.
I would simply give the charitable PSA to the student body of Bluff University to say, hey, if you need inspiration on how to be innovative, simply look to U of H. Our rivalry with Rice is longstanding, and you'll see shirts sold everywhere that say Ruck Feis. Simply switching 2 letters makes all the difference in the world.
Right.
Off the PR radar of the NCAA. So have fun with that however you so please.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on, we've got the college football playoff, as according to Joel Klatt from Fox, and I'm going to take this down just so we can see it all. Do you agree with what Joel Klatt has on there currently? I can see some holes there, but I'm going to let KJ go first.
Is this just him completely spitballing? Because to my knowledge, they haven't even finalized how.
No, this is him just spitballing. He's just saying this is his October
I was going to say, because I thought the whole preconceived setup was the top 4 were the at-large conferences.
No, this is just his. This is just his bracket prediction as of right now.
Interesting.
there's a lot of I probably follow the pages, so that's why it comes up in the algorithms of my like Facebook feed and stuff. But there's a lot of noise around the Tigers. That's one hole I'd poke in this. Not to say that the Bulls can't run the table and get the at-large bid amongst the 12 CFP teams.
And they're definitely positioned to, if you look at their
Yes,
their
100%.
schedule.
And I've stated this from the get-go. It's like that's the game if Memphis loses, even if they get to the championship. If the Bulls come out with a better record overall, I would say they still deserve to get the nod over a team like the Tigers because they've had a harder schedule holistically with games like Miami and what have you. That's a separate topic, but that would be one of the bigger ones I'd see looking at it. Obviously, we could spend a whole probably hour on Notre Dame, and that one's gonna fall flat, sadly. And I, to your point, I think that will be the biggest litmus test of establishing how much bias is still left in this whole grading scale come the end of the season. Eric, is if those guys crap a brick in 2+ more games this season, if they're still in the dance or not, we'll answer a lot of questions on that. So
that to me. And Chad, I'll let you go. Where do you poke holes in this?
There's a colander here. I mean, we could rinse the spaghetti off in this thing.
I love it.
I mean, South Florida, God bless you, but who are you going to play this year? I mean, Notre Dame, they're only 2 games they lost. I'm sorry, John David. I'm sorry.
You're going to get on his list.
I know.
He's going to be bagging on you now.
It's fine. He just complimented me already, so I'll take that to the bank. But I mean, what a load of garbage. I mean, it's not that Notre Dame's garbage. They only have 2 teams to play. They lost to both of them. The rest of the teams they have to play are not very good, so they don't help out their standing.
Well, and I don't see any of those teams up on this list right here either.
So I don't see how that's even possible. I think it's interesting. Georgia's all the way down at 10. That doesn't bode well for the rest of the season for Georgia. In Texas Tech, they must have Texas Tech at 5 because they win the Big 12. Is that what they're saying?
I'm assuming so.
Okay, that's interesting.
I guess
we'll see.
Yeah,
but I mean, Texas.
At 4.
So that Texas winning the SEC.
Yes, that's what it looks like to me. Yeah.
Okay. I got to go look back at Texas' schedule here. I mean, I like Joel, and I think he likes to do stuff to like get conversation going and in all that. But I mean, come on, dude.
He's got to get off the arch gravy train, I think. Really
well, and that Texas was the biggest thing that stuck out to me.
Florida, they get the Red River rivalry coming up. They do play Vandy in Georgia and A&M. They got a lot of schools. They got a lot of good teams to play.
Yeah.
Oh my word, they got a lot of good teams to play at. It's Vandy is in Austin. It's at Georgia, in the Aggies are in Austin. So there 3 of those 4 games are in Austin. But I mean, you got to go to Georgia. Vandy's just upset crazy. The offense, Texas offense, is not good. Arch is struggling greatly. I just strained spaghetti out of this thing. So
I almost say you flip the Shorthorns with Ole Miss and A&M and put them at 7, and just that would at least be more humbly realistic based on what we've seen so far with the team's respective performances.
I don't even at this point. I don't even see Texas being able to make the playoffs at this point.
Yeah, no,
but
I mean, with those 4 games left, I guess Oklahoma will see because they're starting quarterback situation,
right?
But
the biggest, other than Texas, because I guess maybe Texas could win the SEC, but I don't see it at this point. I mean, here we are. You got Georgia and Alabama has an actual schedule to play yet. They've already shown some weaknesses. I guess he's only doing it right now, so we're only going off of right now. But when you look at the Big 12, and this is going to be my argument in purgatory, whatever, is you're saying one Big 12 team that plays a conference, that actually plays in a conference. Notre Dame is 0-2 against the two biggest teams they'll play this year. And you're still only putting one Big 12 team in there. I mean, you could realistically, you could have two undefeated Big 12 teams playing for the championship. Because Texas Tech and Iowa State do not play. Texas Tech does not play. Oh, I'm missing one. I'd have to look back. But there's three teams that don't play each other that are like in the top five. So realistically, whichever one of those three, that they all can be undefeated. Right. And at the top of the Big 12. And you're telling me that two undefeated Big 12 teams in the championship game do not deserve to be in this college football playoff. That's a joke.
I mean, all due respect, Brett, Alabama has 5 ranked opponents left plus Auburn at the end. And okay, so Auburn's not good, but when they play Alabama.
You've already highlighted the existing bias there, though, Chad. You said ranked teams. Eric's already poked holes in the entire AP grading structure, which is a reciprocal or a preceding rubric for how the CFP comes up with their grades, whether it's exact or not, doesn't matter. But I mean,
yeah. And if
I would agree with him in the sense, it almost seems more fair to say, okay, by default, sure, you want to give nod and credence to the Big Ten and the SEC, that's fine. Give 3 and 3 automatic to both of them, 2 automatic to the Big 12, and if we're being charitable, you could say 2 to the ACC. And then from there, wing the rest, wing the other 2. But I mean, it really is going to depend, I think, on how the rest of the year goes for these teams he's got in here projected. If they, lose more than 2 games, I would say, I think the argument's very substantial from Eric's standpoint that the Big 12 does deserve that second positional nod, especially if it's either 2 undefeated teams or even, you have 1 undefeated and maybe even a 1-loss team that loses in the championship, especially.
Well, right. I mean, South Florida and Notre Dame, they're the first 2 to take out of this.
Right. Well, and I'm going to, whether or not I have to honor being a UH guy, but like fair or not, I think there is always going to be the at-large 12 spot, unless the rubric changes and they go back to the, rubric from like CFP 4-team playoff. They're always going to give the 12th spot to that, American or whenever the
Mountain West
good again, if they get good again.
No, you give it to who deserves it. That's a bunch of trash.
Yeah, I understand
sick of that. I'm so sick of that.
But the thing that irritates me about that, Chad, is based on this right here, what they're saying is the Big 12 and the ACC do not deserve any more than the Mountain West or the American Conference or whatever. So why don't you just make it a Big 10 SEC tournament and say to hell with it?
Okay. We had this discussion a lot last year, right?
Yep.
So your touting of how competitive the Big 12 is also the downfall of the Big 12 because they don't have any powerhouses. They don't have anybody that just automatically by name demands respect. So I understand your two's argument. I understand it.
They demand respect because they're marketed and they have a brand name, not because they have, Alabama's the only dynasty we're sitting at theoretically here you could talk about in that sense from, recent history. Like outside of them, that's where I think the whole, if you're top heavy, you're top heavy. Like, let's call a spade and not play this Mickey Mouse bullcrap game.
Okay. So you think, I had this discussion a lot last year with my man here, Eric. So I'm going to have it with you. Okay. So you take the University of Houston and you stick them in the SEC or the Big Ten this year. How are they making out?
I would say it depends. Obviously, it depends on the schedule. I mean, there could be a setup
Come
where
on.
they win maybe 3 games if they're lucky. There could be a setting where they, come out. What is it? They have the same number of games, right? Total for season, so 500 at best. I would acknowledge that. I'm not arguing that.
Right, but he's saying, he's not saying Houston is one of the top teams in the Big 12.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you're dismissing the Big Ten and the SEC in the strength that they have. And
I'm trying. I think to the same standpoint.
You
I'm
kind
not
of are.
because I've already stated I'm giving each of them 3 bids, which already gives them the preface of you're the greater conference because you get more automatic seating spots. There's no.
First of all, I don't think there should be any automatic. I think you either deserve to get in or you don't deserve to get in.
You also don't agree with the CFP at all because that's going to be the case to whatever gradient level it is at the end of the year. As we get closer to November, when they finally make up their rigid rubric they're going to follow, there will be automatic bids. Now, it may only be the conference champions, but there will be automatic bids.
The biggest problem with not having automatic bids is because of Joel Klatt having Notre Dame at number 11. You're going to have people that are simply looking at, well, it's the Longhorns. They should be in there.
Right.
They're 8-4, but I mean, we got to have Texas in there.
And I
got to have Texas in over Texas Tech. I mean, seriously. I mean,
yeah,
that's what you're going to run into if you don't have automatic bids. That's exactly what you're going to run into.
Well, it gives further credence to your argument, Eric. It's like just make it a Big Ten SEC playoff every stupid year, and let's stop beating around the bush with these Mickey Mouse semantics.
Right.
Okay, then if that gets it down to 4 teams, I'm all for it.
That's why personally, in my opinion, I always thought it was complete crap that we had.
That's why
every other sport on the planet, basketball included, has a systematic, structured playoff system. But because football brings in all the money, the powers that be go, let's make it this way because 9 times out of 10 it's going to benefit us, and we can argue it makes logical sense. Like
the basketball does not have a legitimate playoff system. That's garbage. That tournament is
way better than the CFP by a mile, and you know it.
No, it's not.
Yes.
It allows all these teams in who don't deserve to be there. Totally dismisses the regular season is all but irrelevant. I don't want to go off on a tirade.
Yeah, he's already gone off on this, KJ. We don't have that kind of time.
The NCAA basketball tournament, if people love it, I understand. Great. It's not a legitimate tournament. It doesn't decide a legitimate national champion. And with the 12-team system, that's where we're going with this. It's a joke, and it's crazy that if you think South Florida at the end of the year is going to be the 12th best team in the country and deserving to get into this playoff and have a snowball's chance in hell of winning this thing, you're insane and you're ridiculous and you have no imagination and you have no common sense and you can't
the same argument from a 4-team playoff, Chad, because you don't have every one-loss SEC team in the mix to take their shot at national, national fandom or whatever.
Well, my argument is always this: do you think that Texas Tech or Iowa State or whoever the top couple teams out of the Big 12? I'm not saying they go in and they go and win the Big 10, but I mean, you're telling me that they wouldn't compete?
No, they'd compete. They'd finish 5-4 in the Big 10.
But see what I'm saying is then that gets them in the playoff if they're 4th in the Big 10. If Texas Tech would be 4th in the Big 10 behind, let's say, Oregon, Ohio State, and Penn State, that gets them in the playoffs.
Bingo.
But yet,
they only have 3 teams in.
Well, this is Joel Klatt, but I'm just saying I believe 4 teams. They're going to take 4 teams out of the Big 10 this year. I think he is SEC loaded here. I mean,
for sure. And
he's got 5 SEC teams in here.
Yeah, he's got Texas. How he thinks Texas is going to win this thing, I don't know.
I don't think the SEC gets 5 teams this year. No way. So I'm saying I think it's probably going to be 4-4, 1-1, and at large. and the at large is going to be the USF out of the other 5 or whatever.
The only final rebuttal I'd give to your argument, Chad, with respect to something like the March Madness bracket is that we've already seen in even a 4-team CFP playoff that the wheat is separated from the chaff relatively easily for teams like TCU in the 1 year they did well, Cincinnati. So making the bracket larger doesn't negate the fairness or legitimacy of the playoff structure as a whole. It actually improves that element of filtration, even if you let in the one guy from the minor conference for fairness sake, because if they don't truly have the skill set to get there, they're not going to make it to the dance. That's just a fact. Or if they do, they're going to get obliterated.
The biggest thing that hurt the Big 12 last year was Arizona State was 1 play away from beating Texas.
Right. And
if Arizona State beats Texas,
yes,
then we're not. I mean, then there's a lot more. There's a lot more to the argument. We needed that to happen. But the fact that they were competitive and Texas was what was Texas's seed last year? I can't remember. What was their overall?
I don't remember.
But anyway, what I'm saying was they were a top 4, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were in the top 4. And you had Arizona State that came in at what, 5 or 4 or 5, whatever it was.
Higher.
And out of the supposedly weak Big 12 and take Texas down to the line. So that's my argument as to why.
No, that's part of my argument on why you don't let those teams in, is because sure, anybody has a chance against anybody any given Saturday. The question is, do they deserve to be there on that Saturday to try?
Well,
they win a fluke game and they win it. So was Boise State. Boise State plays Oklahoma 5 more times. How many times does Boise State beat Oklahoma?
Right, but
none.
To me, that is what makes the sports. That's what makes sports exciting. Because if you're just going to say
the regular season is for.
No,
that's
but what I'm
regular season is for.
Boise State is not Iowa State or Texas Tech. Okay, you can dog on our conference all you want, but we're not the fucking Americans. Excuse my French. Like, at least give us some respect, even if you're going to call us.
Well, I'm talking about the team. I'm talking about the team that went and shocked the world.
Right.
That's the team that shocked the world. I'm not pissing on the
Big
Big 12. That was
the BCS, wasn't it? That wasn't even CFP set.
Yes,
right?
but that's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point.
But my to put a bow on this, my whole thought process is this: if they put a 9-3 SEC team or a 8-4 SEC team over a 10-2, 11-1 ACC or Big 12 team, I mean, then you just as well turn it into a Big 10 SEC tournament. Yeah. Forget the USFs, forget the Big 12, the ACC, just forget about it.
Okay, again, this goes back to my prediction. We will see 2 conferences. The Big 10 and the SEC will absorb other teams, and then they will walk away from the NCAA, and they will have their own season.
Oh, we've talked about
their
that
own tournament.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen,
and that's why.
That's my big prediction. In case you've never heard this,
I'm not saying that's not a possible. I'm not saying that's not a possible reality. I just think it's complete and utter dog crap for the rest of the entire nation.
Well, it is.
Well, those guys go and just like North Dakota State, they go and they win their own national title, or Morningside College and the NAIA. I mean, you have your own national title.
Right. If that's all it takes for us to actually establish that structure, I would happily stand in a picket sign line with SEC and a Big Ten fan and go, let's just close the NCAA now so we can get a head start on that progress, because I'm tired of playing this.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, that's why I think it's so important.
Barring that type of significant change, I will still argue this, and I'll even put money on it for anybody out there in the interweb who wants to bet on me. In the next 4.5 to 5 years, UH will bank it to the CFP at a minimum, in my opinion, based on how NIL is treating schools right now. And who we've already recruited, I'll say that.
But I think that's why it's important for the teams in the ACC and the Big 12 to compete.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because then when the Big 10 and the SEC make that move, and I think it is coming. that they're part of those teams that the Big Ten says, hey, Iowa State and Iowa, yeah, we're bringing Iowa State. We're bringing Texas Tech.
Sure,
we're bringing
for sure.
you.
Yeah.
Miami, we're bringing you. Florida
We
State,
gotta
we're bringing you.
Yeah.
And if you don't make the
KJ,
cut, you're done.
Yeah, my team might not make the cut. Nebraska might say, dude, you guys just can't get your shit together. Out.
Yeah.
And
It's
kick them out.
possible.
That's
My
not
other-
some
my other-
level of
but
theoretical
my
thought.
other
To your point,
prediction-
it's literally dropping teams out of their current configuration. That would surprise me, but I could see it happening. I guess.
Well, but my prediction is one of my other predictions for this is this. So they have some sort of Premier League format with this. So you can play back up into the
like that.
conferences
I would like
or and then drop out. So there's that possibility too. So
Yeah.
anyway, we need to move on.
But anyway, yeah, putting the bow on Joe Klatt's October bracket prediction with 5 SEC teams.
See what you did, Joe
3
Klatt. You threw a grenade in here. God darn it.
Yeah, three out of the Big Ten,
Still love
one
you,
out of the
Jay.
one out of the ACC, one out of the Big 12, and then Notre Dame and USF has to be there. So at least at this point,
They don't have to be there.
you're right, they don't, but they're going to be, or somebody of that caliber is going to be, for sure. But anyway, that wraps up our college segment for the night. One quick thing. As we predicted last week, Pittman's gone at Arkansas. He was on the hot seat. They fired him this week just to lend credibility to where we were at. He was on our hot seat, and he is now gone. That is the 4th or 5th college coach this year that has been shown the door, and I think you're going to continue to see that revolving door with a lot of them. Anyway, we're going to bid farewell to KJ. KJ has little ones and all sorts of things.
We're not going to make our picks before.
That's what I was going to add.
Yeah. What am I doing? We're so far
I
behind.
don't know.
We
I
better
know what
do our
you're doing.
picks. We better do the college picks. I don't want to forget that. Okay. First pick.
How did everybody do last week?
I will
College.
put that on the bottom.
We're
There's
almost
the
all
total
the same. Ed actually
overall.
did the test, and he wasn't even here for us.
Yeah.
Giving default
Yeah.
5 picks. Everybody went 2 and 4, I think, in the college sector.
Yes. Yeah. College is, it was rough last week.
Yes.
First one out. Iowa State versus Cincinnati. Saturday, 11 p.m. ESPN2. Cincinnati is a 1.5 favorite at home.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm surprised on that too. KJ, who you got?
I'm going with the Cyclones on this one. I think this arguably may be one of the closest margin games of the 4 we're picking between this week. But yeah, I'm going with the Iowa State. So
KJ. Chad.
Give me the clones.
Yeah,
really.
I'm really seriously worried
take
about.
the chair out. Come on, Eric. You want to do it?
I'm worried about the corners. I'm worried about the corner situation. Cincinnati's offense is much improved. But if we are a playoff team or if we are a Big 12 championship team, this is a game we have to win. So I'm taking ISU as well.
Ooh.
I know. I hate that. Next game, number 3, Miami, 4.5-point favorite at number 18, FSU. Saturday, 6:30 on NBC. I mean, I'm taking the Hurricanes because I just don't know who FSU is. I mean, I could see FSU
Wide
coming
right.
Yeah. I mean, I could see FSU coming out and dog roll Miami, but I could also see FSU come out and get beat by 30. Like, I just don't know what team they are.
Does Florida State have a good kicker this year? That's the question. Do they have a good kicker?
Well, I can't tell you.
KJ might not know.
I mean, they went to what was it? 2 back-to-back overtime sessions with Virginia, even though they didn't win. I don't know if there was any field goals in that series. I can't remember offhand.
In the 90s, Florida State lost like 4 games in a row to Miami because they couldn't kick a field goal.
Because they couldn't kick a field goal.
That's-
That's where that reference comes from. But anyway,
so then Bobby Bowden went out and got Sebastian Janikowski, the Polish Hammer.
that helped. Chad,
Yep.
Miami, FSU.
Give me the Canes.
KJ?
yeah, I'm sticking with the U as well.
I don't like this going favorites all the way. I don't like this.
Well, these games were tough. Well, you didn't. We went against Cincinnati's favored, so we went against.
Yeah,
See, you know.
I guess.
See, now if we did point spreads, however, and I think this point spread has actually increased since I put this up. I think it's 13.5. I guess depending on where you look. Number 16, Vanderbilt. At number 10, Alabama. Alabama at printing time was
Alabama.
10.5 point favorites. If we were doing point spreads, I would take Vandy in the points. But since we're not, I am taking Alabama.
Yeah, this is not in where they play in
Tuscaloosa,
Yeah,
no, I know, but where does Vandy play?
Nashville.
Nashville. So this is not in Nashville this year.
No, right. Yeah, that's
So give me the Crimson Tide of Alabama.
KJ, you going with the home team?
no. I'm in the same.
No.
Notice Chad. It's not my home. I just live here. Definitely. If it was in Nashville, I might give them the nod again to repeat from last year. But that, on top of the fact that Bama, in my opinion, upset. We all thought Georgia was going to win that game. I think, and it didn't pan out. So
Yeah, I think Bama's got a score to settle here.
yeah.
All right. Last game of the week, as there's not too many close games. As you can see, we had a 10.5 and a 6.5. Number 9, Texas. I put this one up there because it is it would have been a big game, I guess. But number 9, Texas, 6.5 point favorite versus Florida. Saturday, 2:30 on ESPN. I'm actually shocked at 6.5. I suppose it's because Texas's offense is just not caught its wind in the sails yet. But with that, I still cannot go against Texas. Florida just looks like a train wreck. KJ?
I'm going Texas. I wish it wasn't true. I hope
Right.
I sincerely hope I'm wrong on this pick because I would give anything to see the Shorthorns lose.
I'm okay if Florida wins, trust me.
Right. But yeah, I just don't see it happening.
Chad?
I think Arch starts playing better. Give me Texas.
Oh, man, clean sweeps for the college
I don't like
games. I don't like it either. But as I started before, KJ's got young ones. He's out on the NFL side of it. So we will see you next week, KJ.
They didn't include
right.
Cougs, but go bet on our team. The margin will be closer than probably 2 of these freaking 4 games we picked today. Vegas is stupid, and there's other closer matchups that I don't know why the betting people don't want to bet on. But that's just my opinion. So.
Well, I
And I
guess
feel bad. I'm sorry, ACC, we excluded you this week because there's not a single game.
not one that's worth picking. So
Oh.
with that, we're going to transition over to the NFL after we hear from our sponsor. Looks like it's just you and me bringing it home tonight, buddy.
Just the old guy and the younger guy. You know, that's all it is.
I mean, we're just gonna have to. We're gonna nail this. I feel like we're gonna nail this, bud.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Where do we want to start?
Screw
at?
those guys. We don't need them anyway.
Yeah, we don't need them anyway. Pfft,
Yeah.
whatever. I think let's start here. Let's just start here, and after what happened this week with Kansas City, I kind of feel like Baltimore looks like this. They are in some serious injury problem. And at the beginning of the year, it did not look like they were, at least in division, going to have much problem in division. And now all of a sudden, Pittsburgh looks like they're going to be competitive. Pittsburgh has a favorable schedule in the next 4, 5, 6 weeks. I got the laundry list of names defensively and offensively that are down. It sounds like Lamar Jackson's going to be out for a couple weeks with a hamstring injury. Matabuke is on the IR. He's done for the year. Roquan Smith is going to be out for a few weeks with a grade 2 hamstring issue. Marlon Humphrey, calf, is out for a few weeks. And Broderick Washington Jr. is on the IR with an ankle. They are in some serious trouble.
Yeah, I think they were in trouble before all the injuries. I think, we just talked patience in the last segment in college. I think that Baltimore exercising patience with John Harbaugh, although he's a very good coach, I think it's time to move on. And I think the message is stale. I think, and you know my stat. I'm not going to repeat it. I'm not going to repeat it.
I agree with your stat.
So I think if they actually want to win a Super Bowl, they need to cut Mr. Harbaugh loose. He will go and be an outstanding head coach someplace else and maybe win a Super Bowl someplace else. It's not going to be in Baltimore with this quarterback. So that's my thoughts on Baltimore.
Well, the calling card when Lamar Jackson first came in the league was what for Baltimore? Defense. Well, let's take a look at that vaunted Baltimore defense this year. Let me take down this other banner here so we can see it all. 31st in total defense. 31st in pass defense. 27th in rush defense. Dead last in scoring defense. 28th in red zone defense. And 24th in third down defense. There is a real big problem in Baltimore, and you could argue it is on the defensive side. Now you say injuries and stuff like that, but they weren't injured at the beginning of the year.
Nope.
And these stats are all compiled through the first 4 games of the year.
When was the last time the Baltimore defense was this bad?
Oh,
were they in Cleveland?
Jeez. Baltimore has been around for 20
since 98
years. 98, so 28 years, 27 years. Baltimore's Ray Lewis. They've got names all the way, to clear to Roquan Smith. They've got names throughout that defense that have been hammers. And this is the defensive numbers so far for 2025. To me, the biggest stat is 32nd scoring defense. You can be dead last in pass defense, but if you're 14th in scoring defense, that's number of points.
Yeah.
That's number of points. You can be bad in a lot of statistic categories, but if you're good in scoring defense, it means you clap it down in the red zone and you're good.
Yep.
Well, they're 28th in red zone defense. They're giving up touchdowns at a 75% clip, man.
Wow.
That, I didn't, when I went through and looked this up, I couldn't even believe these numbers.
Yeah. I take some glee out of this. I've never been a Baltimore fan, and that's mostly because of Ray Lewis. I think Ray Lewis is a disgusting double murderer who should have spent his whole entire adult life in for murder. But he did not. So I have a rather distinctive bias against Baltimore Ravens, and I fully admit that. So I wonder what little old Ray Lewis dancing around. I wonder what he thinks of all this.
Yeah. Brett says Ozzie Newsome retired and they stopped drafting Bama defenders. Leave it to Brett to get his Bama comment in there. That's a good one, Brett. I like it. And Brett also says KC whipped up with. I mean, they did. It was a bloodbath. I mean, it was 100% bloodbath. It was not what I was expecting. I mean, it almost feels like, as bad as their defense is. I mean, going forward, I haven't looked. Do you have the Ravens schedule pulled up?
I can.
Let me see if I can get it up quick. Let's see.
Where am I at here?
Ravens schedule.
Wrong.
So this week they play the Texans. The Texans offense showed life this week. Now, granted, it wasn't against a powerhouse, but CJ Stroud and company did look better with a 26-0 win. Then it's the Rams, which is not going to be an easy game. They play the Bears, which, say what you want. The Bears offense is showing some life. Then the Dolphins, which I think they could probably still beat the Dolphins because they're just not very good. Then it's the Vikings, the Browns. They should have Lamar back by those games. Jets, Bengals, nothing. Steelers, Bengals, Patriots, Packers, Steelers. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm really starting to lose faith in even saying that Baltimore was going to win that division outright, regardless of how they did in some of these other games.
So they're 1-3. Okay.
They're 1-3.
Let's do this. We'll go with Lamar's going to miss 4 games. So they get beat by the Texans. They get beat by the Rams.
To me,
I want to say I think they get beat by the Bears, and these are 3 straight home games. And then they beat the Dolphins, and then Lamar comes back. So they're then 1-6.
They're 2-6. 2-6.
2-6. Can you make the playoffs going 2-6 in the first 8 games?
I mean, if
you
they
have to go on an epic run.
So here's the deal. Here's where I think it gets dicey for them. Vikings, Browns. Okay. I think by that time the Vikings are going to have it maybe figured out a little bit better than they do. The Browns defense is legit. They made a quarterback switch. If they get anything offensively, that is not going to be an easy win for the Ravens.
The Browns switch starting quarterbacks?
Yes, we will get to that. We will get to that. Then they play the Jets, which, the Jets can't get out of their own way. The Burrow-less Bengals, I mean, you could give them a win there. But then it's the Steelers.
So is he going to miss the whole season or most of the season?
Burrow?
Yeah.
I think he's done for the season. But what happens if the Bengals bring in – I mean, here's an idea. I mean, get anybody to throw the ball to the Bengals receivers. How about I don't know, you throw names out there like a Kirk Cousins, like anybody. I don't care if he's a statue back there.
Case Keenum, we'll throw that name out for KJ.
Yes. But even a Case Keenum, anybody that can deliver the ball to T. Higgins or Jamar Chase, anybody. And the Bengals become a tougher matchup than they look currently. So let's finish it. So they're 2-6 coming into the Vikings game. I think they're 2-7.
I agree.
Let's just give them this Browns game, make them 3-7. Let's give them the Jets game 4-7. Let's give them the first Bengals game 5-7. I think they lose. Let's give them 6-7 Steelers at home. I think. But let's just give them that 6-7. I think they lose to the Bengals at Cincinnati. That's 6-8. I think they lose to the Patriots. That's 6-9.
So wait a minute. You have the Steelers losing to Baltimore in Baltimore, but you have the Patriots coming to Baltimore and beating them.
I'm telling you, I think the Patriots, Drake May, I think the Patriots are going to be a real tough team toward the end of the year.
Okay.
I do. I think, but okay. Let's say not. So let's say they're 7-8 at that point. They finish up with the Packers at Lambeau, and they're at Pittsburgh. So if they're 7-8 at that point, are they going to go 9-8?
No.
I don't think so either. I don't see how this Ravens team in their current build can win 10 games. I'm shocked with injuries, the defense being as bad as it is. Even when they were at full strength, the defense wasn't good. I mean, I just don't see it.
I don't either.
So I think it's real big time panic in Baltimore. I would not want to be sitting in their shoes now. But as I told you, Chad, you obviously did not know this. Flacco is out. Gabriel is in.
They're putting the Smurf in.
Now, just to add more fuel to the Shedeur Sanders fire, I was going to download this and I was going to play it, but I thought to myself, there's really nothing to play because there's no sound. So they interviewed Shedeur Sanders at his locker today.
Okay.
So they asked him a question. Do you know what he did? He mouthed a response with no sound. They asked him 3 or 4 questions, and all he did was and stood there and stared at him with a smile on his face. It was in my entire time of watching sports and seeing interviews post-game, whatever, it was the most awkward, unbelievable thing I've ever seen, Chad. You will have to go look at it. It's crazy. He just mouths a response. No sound.
That's hilarious.
And they asked him, so are you going to answer a question? And he's just like,
what were they asking him? About Dylan?
About Dylan and the quarterback situation. And, do they I think one of the questions was, do you see potentially an opportunity for you? And he just.
Well, what's the smarter move? Doing that or just saying no comment?
Well,
over and over again.
I think one of the things that would have helped his image, if I was him anyway, it's clear that this kid is getting bad advice from somebody somewhere just consistently down the line. Maybe it started with his dad, but now his dad's not necessarily involved. He is still getting bad advice because one of the things that I would have respected him more if he would have said, when they asked him about Dylan Gabriel, if he would have said, you know what, I support Dylan and I want this team to win. And if the team believes I'm going to, but he just cannot bring himself to say those things.
From what I have heard, he and Dylan don't get along.
Well, I mean, there's obviously competition there.
And from what I have heard, you can't put all of it on Shedeur.
Yeah, and you know what?
Dylan is a bit of it himself. Now, I admit, I have a Shedeur Sanders bias. I like him. I think he's going to be a good quarterback in the NFL if he's given a chance. Has he made mistakes? Yes. Has he shown immaturity? Yes. I think that's a hilarious move. And if he didn't want to say anything, then he didn't say anything. And I think that's fine. Could he have done what you suggest? Sure, absolutely. He sure could have done that. But, that's just not his personality. And, would you be saying this if this were Baker Mayfield doing that?
Well, what I'm saying is yes, because I will tell you this. Look at Baker Mayfield during his Cleveland Brown days. Now, look at Baker Mayfield now.
Well, yeah. He's
Okay.
got all these years of maturity.
Well, he understood I can't be that guy. I need to. Well, does anybody enter the NFL more turbulent than Shedeur Sanders? I mean,
No,
you could say
not
things
in
like
history.
no,
Not
you could,
in the
but you could
history of
say
the
things
NFL.
like, well, Baker Mayfield said this or whatever, but you can't find anything where Baker Mayfield has done some of the crazy things that Shedeur Sanders did. So he does not, in
I
my
don't know if that's accurate.
playing a board game with the New York Giants and telling them that I can tell what type of people you are if we play this board game. I have never heard an odd story like that from anybody. I'm not saying there's not
Baker
weird.
has done on the field.
Yes, listen, on the field, I get that. But with the odd things that Shedeur did before he was even drafted, I think he needs to accelerate. I'm with you. I think he's a hell of an athlete. I think he can be a very good quarterback in the NFL. But if he continues to do these things, they are going to continue to shove him in a corner.
Oh, I agree.
He is in timeout right now. You know that, right? He's in timeout.
Yeah, that's why he did that.
But you're not helping yourself, is what I'm saying.
Well, when a franchise has treated him the way they have, I don't blame him. I'm sure he's wishing they would just trade him to Cincinnati or something so he can go someplace and play, because clearly they don't appreciate the fact that they have him. They don't want him. The owner held a gun to their head and made them draft him.
Yeah.
None of them wanted him. We have talked about this ad nauseum on this show. So they have not done one thing to coach him up. They have done everything to make him try and look as bad as possible in the preseason, not giving him any reps in preseason in practice, and then expect him to go out and play in a game.
Right.
So they have done everything they can to make him fail.
They've set him up.
They are cutting off their nose to spite their face.
100%.
They have turned into the stupidest franchise in the NFL, and that is saying something.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because we have the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, that's right. No, you're right. But what I'm saying is that's why I go back to my initial point was because it was so turbulent. Whether it's him or not, he has to change the narrative about himself. Or Cleveland.
I don't think it matters. I think he could have came out and said, I support Dylan. Dylan's going to do a good job out there. I'm there for him for whatever he needs from me. Yada, yada, yada. I think he could have came out and said all that would have made one bit of difference to the Cleveland coaching staff.
Yeah,
they would not have given two shits about
at this point. At this point, I would agree with you. But if he would continue from that point, if he would continue to do those things, worst case scenario, he gets traded and the other team says, you know what? I've seen growth in Shedeur. We're willing to take a chance on him. We got to bring him in here. But right now, I think there's 31 other franchises going.
Well, I think there's 31 other franchises that had him. I think it was, my thought, the NFL, this was a conspiracy from the jump.
Right.
They wanted to teach his dad a lesson. His dad's talking all this stuff about who he's going to play for, who he's not going to play for, yada, yada, yada. He did all this stuff. And I think the NFL blackballed him from the jump. So
it's clear that he fell clear to the 5th round or whatever it was. There's no doubt there was some sort of
conspiracy.
Yeah. Whatever you want to frame to it. There's no question about that. Do I think he deserves? Yeah. Do I think he's a good athlete? Yes. Do I think he has a chance to be a good quarterback? Yes. But you got to start somewhere.
You know what I think? What I think eventually happens is, I think he ends up in Canada. I think he goes up to Canada, and I think he goes up there and he Warren Moons it, and wins a couple of Grey Cups. Looks like a star. They bring him back, and he has a good NFL career.
That may be what it takes.
Because I don't think they want him to succeed. I don't think they appreciate his brashness, and like when we had the episode, I forget the scout's name, but
Jeff Barnes.
Jeff Barnes, and I, you know me, I don't play this. I never play this unless I really honestly believe this is a thing. I think it's because he's a brash black young man. I think if he was white, everybody'd be laughing at this. I think if he was white, his mouthing the answers, I think that would have been everywhere. Everybody, it would have went viral. Everybody'd be laughing at it, saying how funny he is and all this, and I think it would be treated totally different.
And you know, that stuff is cringy to me too, just like it is to you. But I can't disagree with you. But at the same token, you know, there's been others that have been but it just seemed like he took it to another level at times. You know, the board game and the legendary draft room, and he's not, you know, I mean, just all those things are stacked against him. I wish for him. I just don't think he's capable of it because of all the things that have been put here, that he's capable of flipping the switch and saying, okay.
Do you think he does that to the Giants because he's looking at Dabo going, I don't know if I want to come play here. A, the taxes. B, the New York is a shit show.
Yeah.
C, this coach is going to be fired at the end of this year, and then have to deal with a new coach and a new staff. There's a new coordinator.
There's some validity to what you're saying there. However, I guess I'm looking at it because I'm not a Sanders or a Manning or whatever. I guess I look at it like, if you are legendary, then what better place than Gotham City to go be legendary?
Because I don't want him to take 60% of my pay.
Well, I get it. You know, going to a so-called blue state or a red state. We don't want to get into politics, but
I'm just telling you, I wouldn't want to go play in California. I want my money. I don't want to
Texas, Florida. Let's go there.
Yeah, Tennessee. Let's go there.
No,
I don't want to go to Illinois. I just take all my money.
I wish for him that this was a better situation, but it is what it is. And if he doesn't, fair or unfair, if he doesn't clean it up himself, he's going to be in timeout purgatory.
I don't think so. Because here's the question: how long does Gabriel last?
You're right there.
How many games?
But they even said it today. But they inserted Flacco into the number 2 hole. So if Gabriel goes down, Flacco is going to come back in.
That's fine. They've already been down there. So you mean to tell me if Gabriel comes in and he throws it into the shoulders of all his offensive linemen because he's 4'7", you mean to tell me that they aren't eventually going to go, okay, we got to put Shedeur in because Flacco's old. Dylan Gabriel is too short, not talented enough. So how many starts does Dylan Gabriel get before Flacco goes in or Shedeur goes in? How many games?
You know, depending.
They gave Flacco 4.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about Flacco is he's like my age. But
no,
you know,
whoa. Don't be distant. That's not nice. You've got him by 12, 14 years.
Yeah, right. I'm 47. I think Flacco is like 40.
I'm 56, and you're a good deal older than me.
Yeah, no, I'm not. KJ's not here, so you can't play that. So we look at Sanders, and we look at Cleveland's situation, and we look at some of the quarterbacking issues around the league. So who's the next quarterback to be benched? I have some ideas, but when you throw names out there like, you know, Case Keenum, who was brought to the Bears to help out Caleb Williams, and Tyson Bagent is obviously the backup, but Case Keenum is there. You've got Kirk Cousins. You've got Shedeur Sanders in timeout in Cleveland. I threw out 3 teams, and you may have some other ones you want to add, or you may disagree with what I have here, but I think Bryce Young again is in real trouble in Carolina. I think the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton, the way it's going with Carolina, they're going to turn to him because,
Interesting.
and I'm not saying they're going to be any better, but Bryce Young, toward the end of the season last year, he was showing flashes of making Carolina competitive in games. It just has not been that way this year. It just hasn't. So I see that as a potential quarterback flip. Cincy, Brett Rippon, who was with the Vikings, is now with Cincinnati. Jake Browning had come in the past for Burrow, played admirable, but it just does not. I mean, did you watch that Monday night game? It set football back.
Yeah.
Even the announcers were like, another flag. What do we do? I mean, holy cow, and I actually had Kirk Cousins, question mark here because you do have Chase, you do have T. Higgins, you've got receivers, you've got players in Cincinnati on the offensive side of the ball. Can you bring in a Cousins that can at least deliver that to them? I don't know. I think Cincinnati's problems are deeper. They've never spent money in the offensive line. It's why Burrow is out again. So if you bring Cousins, does he solve the problem? I don't know. He's a statue back there. Does he get killed? I mean, I don't know. And the third one, actually, I have 4 written down here. Pete Carroll is not big on interceptions. He hates turning the ball over. Geno Smith, for as good as I think Geno Smith can be, has 7 INTs already.
Geno is the first name that popped into my head.
Yes. Kenny Pickett is the backup. I could see them making a switch because that just drives Pete Carroll nuts, putting the ball in danger. I think the Bears picked him off, 3 times?
Yeah.
Again, I mean, that's just not a Pete Carroll thing. And then the last one that I had written down here, Schuff for Rattler.
Yeah.
We knew the Saints were going to be bad. But Kellen Moore, he's got to do something. And Schuff was his guy. Rattler was not. So, I mean, I could see that change coming as well. Is there any one that I potentially missed? I mean, obviously injuries have forced guys into playing, but I mean, as far as like just potential switches not due to injury.
I was thinking maybe CJ Stroud, but the hype around him and everything has been too much.
Right.
And I don't think they have in the alternatives they have are trash. Otherwise, I think you got it covered. The Jets, who's behind Fields?
I don't
necessarily know if he's the reason that they haven't been playing well. Oh, Tyrod. Maybe, but I don't know what Tyrod gives you.
I don't think it gives you any more than Field. Actually, I think what Tyrod gives you, Fields gives you better opportunity with the same skill set.
So, I mean, the 2 names when you asked me the question, the 2 names that popped in my head were Geno and then Rattler.
Yeah.
Because I can't believe he's gonna keep that job for much longer the way he's playing.
Yeah.
I to dispute your Carolina thing, I mean, I think they could sit him a couple of games, but then I think he comes back.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm just saying just to see if they got more with the backup because it's just trying to show the fans. I mean, to me, when you put the backup in, you're just trying to show the fans that you're trying. The most popular guy on the team is the one holding the clipboard. I mean, you're a Bears fan. I'm a Bears fan. Through the first 4 games, I've seen other Bears fans go, if we had Tyson Bagent, we would be, 3-1, 4-0. I'm like, bull crap. Come on, man. And I'm going to talk about that in a real quick take segment. But I mean, don't
the other thing is your boy JJ McCarthy. So when you talked about last week,
yeah,
if Carson's playing well and they're carrying 4 quarterbacks, Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Does they've got to play him though when he's healthy and ready. When he's 100% healthy,
Right. Yeah.
they got to play him. Otherwise, I mean, I think those quarterbacks that you listed off were about it. The others are a bit of a stretch. I think JJ is gonna, once he's healthy enough to play, he's going back into play.
Yeah. I think
If he plays like trash again, maybe they bench him. But then what's the point of drafting him and playing him? I mean, you knew
Correct.
he's a rookie, so you knew what you're going to get.
But Minnesota was the biggest conundrum of all the teams that drafted quarterbacks, because all the teams that drafted quarterbacks in that quarterback class, they were not set up like Minnesota is. Minnesota had Jefferson. They have Addison. They have Hawkinson. They have the running game. They were just lacking this guy, the quarterback, where other teams weren't quite there yet. So Minnesota is in that back and forth of.
But you can't be down to that guy and that guy be new, and then expect that guy to go out there and play like he's a Super Bowl champion.
But that's the conundrum of the Vikings fans. We are built to win, and we're not winning. Or what, if they don't win, then they're going to say, we're not winning. We've got to get somebody else in there because we're built to win.
Yeah.
But then you have Vikings fans say, hey, we got to play him. But every year you lose of this guy or that guy is another year older, another year that you're down the road until JJ McCarthy. I don't think he's ever going to be that guy. He might be this guy, but I don't think he's ever going to be this guy. That's just my opinion. I've never been high on him just because of, the style that he did in the NCAA.
He might not only need to be this guy. He might not need to be this guy with that defense and those receivers and that offensive line. Maybe that's all he needs to be is that guy. But right now, he's not that guy. He's this guy.
Yes.
You can't even see him on the screen right now.
Right. No, there's no question about that. So did the Dolphins miss out on a haul with the Tyreek injury? That was a gruesome injury.
That was.
Tyreek may be that. I want to say career ender, but it was bad. I mean, he blew his knee up completely.
Yeah, yeah, his comeback from that is going to be very difficult. And the child support payments he has, he doesn't have enough money. He need to work for a few more years, unless he has a really great insurance policy taken out on himself. I don't know if they would have got a haul for him the way he played last year and really hadn't done a whole lot this year, ironically, until that night when he was catching some balls.
Right.
So I don't think they get a haul for him. They get a haul for him if they trade him 2 years ago.
Right.
They traded him 2 years ago that, they're going to get something. I mean, if they would have tried to trade him this season before this injury, they might get a fourth or fifth for him or something like that.
See, I still think Tyreek is worth a 4 and a 6, a 4 and a 7.
That's not a haul.
No, but draft picks now. I mean, you see teams do. I mean, draft picks are important no matter where they're at. I think because there's a lot of teams, and I mean, think about the amount of
what I'm saying is 2 years ago you easily get a 1 for him and maybe more.
Oh, I think you're right. Yes, but see, 2 years ago the Dolphins were not in the position that they're in now. The Dolphins are bad.
I would argue they were because of their quarterback that they chose.
Correct. But
I think they're in the same. I think they're in the same position now that they were then. The quarterback they have is not built for the fast, speedy wide receivers that they have. His arm's too weak. He's too small. He's too fragile. I mean, if they want, Miami could trade for Dylan Gabriel. He's left-handed also,
right.
So they don't have to change anything around. He's the same height. I mean, it's
that I actually see Dylan Gabriel very similar to the way I see Tua. Nah, take away the concussions and stuff like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying build wise.
yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm just I like the 6'4", big arm, semi-mobile, doesn't have to be a Justin Fields type mobility. I like those quarterbacks that'll stand in there, know they're going to get hit and deliver the ball. Those are the guys I look for. I don't see.
Well, traditionally, those are the guys that win the Super Bowls.
Right. So why have so many teams? It's why when we drafted Justin Fields, for example, it wasn't high on him. One, Ohio State quarterback. They haven't been real successful in the past. But two, the RG3 thing, when he was mobile and they were really using, he was getting first downs. I'm like, that's never going to last.
You're the fan that doesn't remember the book on Fields coming out. Fields was a pocket passer. He was not a runner. He did not
because he
run
didn't have to be.
He was a pocket passer. Everything was judged as him throwing from the pocket. So that was his top billing. When he first, I can remember the game when he busted off his first long run, that the announcer was like, "Oh, I didn't know he could do that. Did you not pay attention to him at Georgia? Did you not understand what he could do when he was at Georgia?" So I like a big, strong quarterback who can stand in there and throw it. They don't have to have the biggest arm. Joe Montana did not have the biggest arm.
No.
And he wasn't the biggest guy, but he was mobile enough. Pat Mahomes is not the biggest guy. He's mobile enough. His arm is strong enough. You have to have somebody who's got a talented arm and a brain.
Yeah.
And can move around enough in the pocket. Danny Marino, he didn't win any Super Bowls, but he could slide around in that pocket. He was definitely not mobile, but he scooted and slid around in that
He
pocket.
had enough
snake.
sense. He had that sixth sense of, I got pressure behind me, I need to move. And he'd move, but his eyes always stayed down the field. It's when quarterbacks are like this and all of a sudden they go like this. I don't like that. I don't like when the eyes go down because there's open receivers. And that was always Justin Fields' problem is, one, he doesn't see the field very well. And it's almost like his legs become his default. And that first year was when he was with Chicago and he actually moved. I was like, okay, he's mobile. Maybe they'll use but the same thing they did with Mitch Trubisky. It was like the second when Mitch made the playoffs when he was the first year, he got a lot of first downs with his legs. And it's like the second year the Bears said, okay, listen, you're not running out of the pocket anymore. You're going to stand there and you're going to deliver the football. And Trubisky just disappeared as a quarterback. He just disappeared. And then they did the same thing I felt with Fields. And he just disappeared.
That's because Nagy decided he wasn't going to coach Mitchell Trubisky. But these people do not want to hear our Bears therapy session.
Right. You're right. Yeah, we gotta.
So
yeah, they probably weren't going to get a haul for him, but he was worth at least, I think, a couple picks to Miami, which would have been better than, what they have now. Before I get to the real quick takes, real quickly, A.J. Brown, is he out in Philly? Have you seen some of the stuff he's throwing out there? I mean, they are 4-0, but A.J.'s not happy. And realistically, this is a guy you can get a haul for right now. And Philadelphia is 4-0 without really needing him.
Well, I think they're stupid if they get rid of him. I think, yes, they're 4-0, but they're 4-0 more comfortably if they get him the ball. They don't. He's very talented. They've got to realize they need to save Saquon Barkley. They can't give Saquon Barkley the ball 30 times a game. They've got to diversify the offense. I understand AJ's frustration, and he was underutilized last year. The bad part is they turn around and win the Super Bowl underutilizing him, and then go and give him a bunch of money. I mean, that's the tricky part of trading him. They gave him a bunch of money. So he's got a big contract. He's like $30 million a year.
Right.
So now you've got to find a team that can absorb that. Can you get a haul for him? Maybe. Probably get a 1. The way wide receivers are valued in this league now.
Right.
But they got to make it work. They got to get him the ball. They got to get the Alabama skinny kid the ball. They need to diversify this offense. They need to take the pressure off of Saquon Barkley. They've got to utilize other weapons. They are hyper focused on just running Saquon and throwing dumps to Saquon.
Well,
and that's going to get him on the IR before you know it.
I think part of the problem is, and I think we're going to introduce a new segment here, is, a real quick take. And the A.J. Brown kind of leads us into the first one, and it may answer some of our questions, Chad. Is A.J. Brown not getting the ball simply because he just hasn't really been a part of the offense? Is A.J. Brown not getting the ball because they are focusing on him? I don't know how they can focus solely on A.J. Brown with Saquon Barkley in the backfield. Or is it partially this? 11 plays from pistol, 10 runs, 1 pass. 14 plays from under center, 14 runs, 0 passes. 33 plays from the shotgun, 7 runs, 26 passes. If you notice, I believe Saquon Barkley's yards are down this year. More guys in the box. I do think that is part and parcel because I'm not a big fan of Jalen Hurts' overall passing abilities. I'm not saying he's terrible by any stretch, but he doesn't scare you throwing the football like other quarterbacks do. But could this be a big part of why Philadelphia, even though they're 4-0, are struggling more? It seems like they have struggled to that 4-0 more so than maybe in the past.
Oh, I agree. It does by your stats there. They're very, very predictable. And they're getting away with it because, they have the best roster in the NFL. And they have the best offensive line with one of the best running backs and one of the smarter quarterbacks. And I think he's underutilized. You know me, I have a very high opinion of Jalen Hurts. Sorry, people. The Bears had 5 opportunities to draft him when he came out of college. 5 draft picks. They had the chance to draft that guy, and they didn't do it. And you can ask my wife. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs at the TV like some sort of raging old man idiot. I think he's good. Ask the Kansas City defense in the Super Bowl. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think the offensive coordinator needs to get a little bit more creative. He needs to break some tendencies. He needs to run the ball out of some passing formations and pass the ball out of some running formations to try and break some of these tendencies. Because, I love you, Eric, but you're not the brightest guy in the world. So if you can spot this, all the defensive coaches in the NFL watching all the film are going to be able to spot this also.
Well, what better way to open up A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts than to go under center and play action with a Saquon Barkley? It's not like you're play actioning with you or me back there.
Yeah.
You're play actioning with Saquon Barkley, for crying out loud. 14 plays under center, 14 runs. No play action whatsoever.
Yeah, stupid.
It's unfathomable to me. To me, it almost reeks of arrogance a little bit. Like, we're better than you. I don't care that we're going to run the football. That's Saquon Barkley standing back there. Stop it. Well, okay, but man, the predictability is getting bad, and I think Philadelphia, unless they change it, is really setting themselves up for a problem. Another real quick take. I've been on a lot of Bears fans that want to sit here and tell us how it needs to be Tyson Bagent and Bagent and all that and whatever, and Caleb Williams is a bust. Well, thought I would take a look at their first 4 weeks of the season, the last 2 seasons. Points per game is up 6 points. Total yards per game is up 75 yards. Passing yards are up 60. Rush yards are up 20, 15, whatever you want to take it. Sacks allowed are down by half. Third down percentage is up by 12%. Yards per play is up. Now, I don't expect Caleb Williams in year 1 of the Ben Johnson offense, year 2 in the league, to be lighting it up, because I never bought into that, because it's very difficult for a rookie quarterback to just come in and be the dude. I get that, but at the same time, that is growth.
Yeah.
That is better than you were at this time last year. So to those Bears fans that are just saying, well, Caleb Williams, bust, but listen, pump the brakes, man. You want to talk about, we've talked about patience this whole show. Patience. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. And it's not just Bears fans. I mean, after week 1, all you heard, every pundit, every expert on TV was that he was a giant bust. He was a bust. He's right up there with what's his face from Washington State,
Ryan Leaf.
Ryan Leaf. He's right up there with Ryan Leaf. He's right up there with the LSU kid for the Raiders. I can't remember his name. Russell. Jamarcus Russell. I mean, it's like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah,
we're 1 season in from his rookie year. He threw 8 picks and 20-some touchdowns. He and again, I think he should have thrown more picks last year. He should have thrown the ball more, taking more risks.
I think it was 20 touchdowns and 6 picks.
It's a different discussion. But, I mean, new offensive coordinator, totally new system, much more complicated, much more involved system than he'd ever done before. I just was like, everybody just needs to slow down. Everybody's got this kid written off, making fun of him because he paints his nails and all this other garbage. And is he gay? And who cares about any of that stuff? I don't understand what any of it has to do with football. I don't see how any of it has to do with his character or anything. The things that worried me coming out of college was, I think it was you who thought it was a good thing. He was crying on his mom's shoulder after a bad loss, and he was on a terrible team that had been so good the year before, and they lost all their talent. And his junior year, they were just a crap team. So, everybody was just, it's just how they do with everything. Everything's an overreaction. Everything it's either the greatest mountain ever climbed or the deepest hole that's ever been fallen into. There's no, and then the next week, he's this fantastic thing. It's like, last week you said he was a giant bust. Now all of a sudden he's the greatest thing ever.
The thing that has irritated me the most, especially because obviously at the pro level, there's more exposure. It's like, whether it be a Bears fan or anybody, they want so much to say, I told you so. It goes back to the Brock Purdy thing. What better story is it than Mr. Relevant to come in and do the things that Brock Purdy has done, but yet so many guys are still on the train of Brock Purdy sucks. It's the system. It's the whatever. And I'm like, you are missing so many parts about that kid that makes him. I mean, here's a classic example. I know we're talking Caleb Williams here, but this is Kurt Warner. For those of you that watch every game, is there any QB that has to make more tough throws within a structure of an offense than Brock Purdy? The degree of difficulty when they aren't dominating in the run game is extremely, extremely high, in my opinion. Am I the only one? So using the Brock, it's like so many people want him to fail, but then you flip the script because he was Mr. Irrelevant.
Yep.
Didn't come from Alabama, didn't come from Ohio State, came from Iowa State. They wanted to fail. To me, Brock Purdy, I mean, I thought Americans rooted for the underdog. But
it's bizarre. Someday they will root for him.
But then you say
when Jack Nicklaus came on the scene, everybody hated him because he was beating Arnold in every tournament. Everybody loved Arnold. They hated Jack. They were calling him Fat Boy and all this other stuff. And then it gets to the 1970s and they start liking him a little more. And then he wins the Masters in 86 as an old man, and he's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, he's on Mount Rushmore now.
Yep.
You know, but the thing of it is, it's like, I don't know what Brock Purdy has to do for them to like him. So he was Mr. Irrelevant. Now, when you flip it back, here's number one pick. The anointed number one, he's the man. And we do, and people in general are doing the same thing to him. And I don't understand it. Either you're rooting for Brock Purdy because he's the underdog and he's Mr. Irrelevant, or you're rooting for the number one pick because he was the number one pick. You know, you can argue what best quarterback come out of college 2 years ago, whatever. I don't care. I mean, why can't we just take a step back and say, hey, as Kurt Warner has. I mean, let's face it, Kurt Warner. I mean, there's movies about him. Like, he was sacking groceries in the grocery store. Is there any more of an underdog than Kurt Warner?
Employee of the month at Hy-Vee.
Yeah, but is there any more of an underdog than Kurt Warner?
No.
And they praised him, but now Brock Purdy's in a similar situation, and they just want to trash on him. Oh, it's Kyle Shanahan. It's this, it's that, it's whatever. I'm like, can we pump the brakes here a little bit? But they just refuse to do it. And the irritation with Caleb Williams is, he paints, you know what? I don't care if he paints his fingernails 18 shades of whatever. It's these stats on the screen right now that I'm concerned about as a Bears fan. I could care less. You know, not everybody has to be squeaky Tom Brady, you know, the good looking white dude who, you know, has a smoking hot model wife for a while and whatever. I don't care. You know, if he can quarterback this team to success, I don't give a crap what he does. I don't care if he's gay. Which he's not, but I'm just saying, I don't care what they say about it. He quarterbacks his team to success. I could care less. I could care less. But they continue the same narratives all the time. And it's just so irritating. So for those doubters out there, there is your numbers. The numbers are going up. Thumb it. Okay. All right. That concludes the real quick take segment. Let's get to the picks. I think we've covered everything, Chad. And we're not too far behind, I guess. We did run long because, you know, we brought the college football playoff up and you and KJ got into it a little bit. But let's get to the picks. There's only 5. Denver at Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a 3.5-point favorite. Noon on Sunday.
Give me the Eagles.
Yeah, I am taking Philadelphia as well. And so is KJ.
I think Bo Nix is going to have a tough time in the city of brotherly love.
Yeah, Bo Nix has regressed a little bit in the sophomore season. I think I'm not saying the slipper's off, but, you know, he's got some work to do to get back to where he was at, you know.
Patience.
And I think he will. Yeah, I think he will because I do like Bo Nix as a quarterback. Second game, Tampa Bay at Seattle. I think this could be the toughest game to pick of the week. KJ has Tampa Bay.
Yeah, give me the Bucks.
Chad has the Bucks. I've gone back and forth with this game, I love Baker Mayfield and what Baker Mayfield has become. I think the Bucks have been a great move for him. You know, he's totally flipped the script on, you know, my impression of him. Seattle's a tough place to play, man. Seattle's defense is really solid. Sam Darnold's playing really well offensively. I've got to go with Seattle.
Okay.
Seattle needs this game. Next game, Washington at the Chargers.
Jeez, they're down to what, their fourth and fifth string tackles
Yeah.
with the Chargers?
Yeah.
Offensive tackles.
KJ takes the Chargers.
They finally gave the ball, and Jaden Daniels comes back,
He is coming back, correct?
and the Chargers finally gave the ball to their first round running back.
Right?
It took a miracle to get him to do that. Man, KJ and I are just thinking alike. Give me the Chargers over the Skins.
Washington does not look like the same team that they were last year. Daniels is coming back. It'll be interesting to see what he looks like coming back. This to me was who's at home. I mean,
Yep.
you know, and that's why I'm going with the Chargers. Kansas City is a 3-point favorite against the resurgent Jacksonville Jaguars. This is the Monday night game. KJ has taken the Jags.
Interesting.
I will give you the chance to go last here. I think Kansas City is going to propel themselves off of the Ravens' victory. It was a huge victory. It was a huge matchup, even though the Ravens were banged up. The Ravens had all sorts of issues, but they thumped them. They thumped them in every avenue. I think the Kansas City defense, maybe not the Kansas City defense of old, but they're still pretty good. I think the Prince and the Jags come down a little bit. I am taking Kansas City.
Yep. Give me the Chefs.
And the Chefs. All right, last game. And this, of course, I put up before all of the – I should have a picture up here of the 49ers and their MASH unit. I just do not see how the 49ers can win this game. I'm taking the Rams. KJ's taking San Fran.
Brock's back out again this week, right?
Yeah, he's out. Brock is out. Kittle is out. Ayuk is out. I mean, it's a laundry list of – there's like 6 starters that are out for San Francisco. I don't see how they go to L.A. and win that game. I'm not shocked that I think it's actually gone up. It was at 7 when I put these in. I don't know what it's currently at. I would say, what is this? This is a Thursday game. Tomorrow, it is currently at 8.5. It has gone up 1.5 points. I think after today, when they announced Purdy would not play, that it went to 8.5. So it's actually 8.5. So KJ took San Fran. I'm taking the Rams. Who you got, Chad?
I got the Rams.
Yeah, I'm surprised KJ went with San Fran, but maybe I can pick up a game there. I got opportunities in a couple of games. Anyway, we're not too far off, Chad. We got our NFL segment in an hour.
Yep. We got to work on the college.
If it wasn't for the college football playoff segment, you and KJ going back and forth, we would have made it. So, I mean, it's kind of on you and KJ tonight. But
well, as long as everybody recognizes that I'm right and KJ is wrong, that's all.
KJ's not here to defend himself, so we'll just leave it at that. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in. That's going to do it for the bottom line this Wednesday. I'll put the banner up there. Give us a like, give us a follow. We appreciate it. We do put a lot of work in to bring this show. For those of you that enjoy it every week, we put a lot of work into it to provide it for you. We do our best. We're not perfect all the time, but we have been right quite a bit here lately, Chad. I'm kind of impressed. Call it luck, call it whatever you want. We've gotten lucky with some things, I guess. We won't say it's because we're really smart. With that, we're not going to take credit for that, but that'll do it for another week. So we will see you next week. 8 p.m. Central next Wednesday. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye,
Peace out.
everybody.
And that's the